Rick Remender briefly relaunched Uncanny Avengers after a pretty decent initial run of Uncanny Avengers, and so this is the third relaunch here. And we come right in post Secret Wars, and some things have changed. We've got a little time skip that's gone on. This is Gerry Duggan and Ryan Stegman who are coming out with this version, and it's a very different status quo. Does it live up to the former versions? Let's find out. Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is Uncanny Avengers, the Gerry Duggan version. This would go on for a little while, and the main thrust of the series ultimately would become, a strange little romance between Rogue and Deadpool. Deadpool being the leader of the Avengers and kind of taking command of it. You got old man Steve Rogers, Captain America, and it also is blending, the original formation of the Uncanny Avengers was to say, we're going to take Avengers, we're going to take X-Men, we're going to have mutants and humans, they're going to live together, work together, and we're going to try and heal the world. And in this version, we've added in the Inhumans mix. So this is at a time when Marvel was really still trying to make Inhumans work. And so we add a fairly generic Inhumans character into this this mix, and we got the Human Torch, who's also hanging around. He's dating Medusa at this time period. We're still trying to make Brother Voodoo work. Spider-Man's here. This is one of those cases where who are all these team members? Why are they here? Can the writer pull it off to actually get this stuff to all work together? And the answer is, well, I mean, sort of. Cable would join the team later, kind of. There's some odd parts to it. So let's get into the issue. First off, right out the gate, we're going to get this kind of origin of a villain. So this older guy, he's got something like cancer or something's wrong with him. He's coughing up blood, and then he basically is an Inhuman. He gets cocooned, which was what was going on. He was reborn, attuned to the vibrations around him, and he now has these powers. This kind of is reminiscent of the Green Skull, I think, that Rick Remender had put together. But he's basically this character who's now an Inhuman is going to try and save the Earth because humanity is making the Earth sick. He can feel her pain, and he's going to save humanity through environmental. What cracks me up about this is they're showing these rallies, and they've got these people with these inflatable dolphin balloons. I don't know why that's so funny, but I don't know. I can't picture protesters with inflatable mylar dolphin balloons. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But 8 months later from this, it's Avengers Assemble, and it's Deadpool. He's got his gun, and we've got a team that looks like Spider-Man, Rogue, the Human Torch, Deadpool, Brother Voodoo, Old Man, Captain Rogers, Steve Rogers. They're going up against the Super Adaptoid, and they're having some classic kind of team is lousy. They're on the National Mall here in DC, and they are they're fighting. Okay, so very much kind of a classic kind of Avengers storyline where they all fight, and the Adaptoid. One thing that's weird, by the way, with this issue is that the bubbles, the text kind of keeps getting bigger and smaller for no apparent reason. It's somewhat strange, but anyway, we also are introduced to this new character Synapse, which appears to control birds. Or what does Synapse do exactly? We're going to learn about her powers as we go. Deadpool is risky. He basically tries a gambit with the Super Adaptoid where he gives it his kind of crazy cancer properties and does something reckless, and it wins. Steve Rogers is, for whatever reason, old and jacked. This was during a time period when Steve Rogers was older and was being drawn and written in many different comics in all kinds of different ways. He's like Schwarzenegger level of old man strong. In some cases, he's crippled, feeble, like barely walking around. I mean, nobody drew Captain Steve Rogers consistently of what he was, which was pretty irritating. I mean, it was super annoying to pick up one comic, and it wasn't like it was different comics. It would be within the same run. Like you'd pick up the Avengers one issue, and he's like super jacked Steve Rogers, but as an old man. And the next issue, he's like in a walker, and he's like, maybe 90 pounds. So it's just very, very bizarre how that was going on. But Peter Parker, he's living, he's a tech mogul at this point, and he says, if Deadpool is staying, he quits and he leaves. It's time to meet the press. So they basically say, get out of here if you're going to quit. Deadpool, for whatever reason, is the world's greatest hero. Nobody is sure why. This was something they were doing during this time period. And meanwhile, we've reset it a little bit that Synapse and Rogue are having troubles because the mutants are getting poisoned by Inhumans. So, remember how Rogue and Scarlet Witch were having difficulties and they were arguing back in the original Remender Uncanny Avengers? Well, now we're going to have Rogue arguing with the Inhumans, and Steve Rogers kind of goofily trying to keep them all together. And that's just goofy. So they're back living in a theater. I don't think this is not the same movie theater that the Mighty Avengers were living in. This is a different movie theater, as far as we know. And the Unity Squad is really about, everybody's sick of Deadpool. He's selling merchandise. Somehow, we're grappling with this. He's the most popular hero in the world, which was a weird game that they were playing at the time. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, the Avengers team, again, is got a merchandise store, and they're all living and hanging out in this abandoned movie theater that is super, super crappy as well. Rogue is being exposed as Terrigen Mist. She's got the weird, bumps on her skin. It indicates that she's got the virus that was killing mutants at the time, but she's trying to stave it off. And me and Brother Voodoo's talking to dead people, and so the comic is going through the different characters. We're also going to introduce Quicksilver into this mix, and we are going to continue to kind of show that this team dynamic is broken. If you read the original Uncanny Avengers plot and story that Remender did, it's very much similar beats. The characters aren't getting along, something's going on, but there's a big global threat that's forcing them to come together and work as a team. In this case, 1 hour later in Boston, the whole city is overrun with bees and with vegetation, and it's this Inhuman guy who's out of control and creating weird monsters out of plants and other things. They're not sure how to handle it, but it's the Shredded Man is the name of this old guy who turned into an Inhuman, and he is here to kill humanity basically by greenifying the earth. So, and that's it. So that's this issue. A couple issues later, Cable kind of emerges onto the scene and somewhat joins the team, and so. There's just some things back and forth. The dangerous plant guy turns out to be new person Synapse's, grandfather. We get, more hijinks with Deadpool. We get just a very weird collection of different things. This comic was trying to be funny at different times. It was trying to be kind of comedy based. They go back. What was strange is the Red Skull and Sin make an appearance in this comic, so they come into the mix. And the odd part in all of it is that it seems to be taking a lot of beats from Remender's run, including we get a very nice arc with Pepe Larraz where they're fighting Ultron, and the Wasp shows up and Hank Pym and this was, again, a plot line left from Remender. So this is kind of the comic that was trying to clear up basically all the little things that Remender left dangling, but it didn't necessarily do that. It more tried to just sort of clean up. It kind of was the same beats, just with different players. And I don't mean that to bash Gerry Duggan. He's a fine guy and all the rest, but the whole thing is peculiar. Of how it goes, because it was a lot of the same things. The Red Skull is back to being villainous, so he's a villain. That was part of Remender's run. Ultron was part of how Remender left things off, so we're kind of doing that. We've reset where Rogue was, and so it's a lot of various. And then also it ties into the whole Steve Rogers when he eventually gets young again. He's a secret Hydra agent, so that's going on. We get Civil War II. Where basically Captain America snaps at Deadpool, but then he's also misleading him, and the Hulk is going to be resurrected. So they kill the Hulk in Civil War II, and then later in this run, the Hand resurrects the Hulk as a big monster, and then Secret Invasion they resurrect him in a different way. So it's a lot of you wind up going through this, and you go, what was the coordination was kind of all over the place with this comic. Ultimately, it didn't last very long. I think the comic went, boy, I was trying to remember here, 24 issues. I want to say 23 issues, maybe. It didn't go that long. It wrapped up in basically 2017, I believe. It kind of ended around the Secret Empire time, and so it did do some dynamics of as I said, there's this oddball relationship with Rogue and Deadpool, and then kind of Wonder Man showed up, and yeah, in the end, this was trying to clean up a bunch of things. It was trying to clean up what Remender left. It was trying to clean up this very strange push for the Inhumans, which just kind of fizzled out during the course of this run. Gerry Duggan was, of course, doing things with Deadpool in a solo book, and Marvel was really trying to push him at the time, and then that kind of also seemed to dissipate a little bit. So a lot of different elements here. They cleaning up how the Red Skull had Xavier's brain still lodged in there, and it had a lot of it was trying to tie up a lot of loose ends. I think that's the best way to put it. Some more successful than others. Definitely had some, Ryan Stegman, Pepe the Rods had some really good art people on this book. But ultimately, I think by nature of the Inhumans experiment just not really working, some of the retcons that would occur through both previously with Secret Wars and then after in the Avengers book and other things, and including what they would do with Hank Pym and other stuff. The fact that it had Civil War II and Secret Empire to both grapple with and try and make sense of, it became a book that tried to clean things up, didn't clean many of them up, and just kind of was there when all was said and done. But that was Uncanny Avengers, the third, and to this date, last attempt at it. What did you think of this issue? Did you follow this run? How did you feel this team of the Avengers work? Was this the Avengers? Or at this point, had the concept just strayed so far? Let me know your comments below, whether you liked it, disliked it, think I'm right, wrong, however you want. I always appreciate that. Like, subscribe, if you don't mind, please. Subscriptions are very helpful to grow the channel. I really much appreciate that. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I'm at Comic Perch, I think in both places. So you can find me over there. But more important than anything else, thank you for listening.